I just finished watching a series on YouTube of Louis Theroux going to the capital in America that has the highest rates of Alzheimer's disease, and in a separate video of him interviewing those that have terminal illnesses. I will pop those videos here so that you can take a look. But something really stood out to me and spoke to me as a person that has who was healing their social anxiety. Um, there was a video segment of this woman who had a terminal brain illness and was deteriorating, forgetting a lot of things, right? And she was going through all of her things, preparing for the end of her life. She found this like VHS tape of her in the 80s. I think she was like in her 30s, maybe early 40s, in the height of her career. And she was taking like a public speaking course, trying to get over the social anxiety and the stage fright that comes with talking to a large audience and just sharing yourself and sharing your ideas and saying what it is and what you do and what you offer, your products, your services. There's vulnerability in doing that, understandable. But having her juxtaposed to now sitting in a wheelchair, preparing for the end of her life in a couple of weeks, right? She's preparing for her life in a couple of weeks and looking at herself excelling in some sections of the video from the 80s, and also saying, oh my gosh, when I get in front of you guys, I just get so scared, tears in her eyes. I just get so scared and I just jump straight into context, and I don't have all of those like soft skills and small conversation and just like warm up and relatability. And it really just made me think how much time we spend thinking about what other people think about us. She's sitting in the wheelchair just shaking her head. She didn't say anything, tears in her eyes at that time too, but just shaking her head. And what I can imagine she was thinking is like how little that mattered, or what a time. Looking back with longing on your life in a separate video, um, also by Henry Thoreau, for the Alzheimer's case. There's a woman who has late stage Alzheimer's, and she is in a facility, a memory care facility, and her son is visiting her. The only thing that she can say is golly, golly, golly. She's walking up and down the halls, interacting with the staff, only able to say that. Her gaze is, not focused, not fully engaged, but just wandering. And her son is there. The interviewer asked him, how does this make you feel? And he said, honestly, it's kind of nice seeing her not be so bound by anxiety. All of my life, she was socially anxious. She was a nervous person. She really was afraid to interact with people. It was like she was bound. We would be in the house. She would be alone, and be bound by this fear. And now she has late stage Alzheimer's and she's open, interacting with staff. She's out of her room. And that made me think, dog, like the key to her sharing herself, being open, not being afraid, is having late stage Alzheimer's. We have no idea what stage we're going to be in when we're older. We don't know if we'll have all of our devices, if we'll be mobile, if we'll be active and vital. Of course, it's nice to want all of those things and to hope and pray for all those things and prepare for them now. You should be. But we don't know. We're not even promised tomorrow. And similarly, so much of us, myself included, are bound by chains of fear of what other people think about us, ruminating on certain situations. If I'm in a panel that's like one of 50 sessions in a conference or something, I ruminate on, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh my gosh, when that person looked at me, I wondered what they were thinking. Oh my gosh, I should have given this example to like paint the picture of what I was trying to say more. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have stumbled over my words because I had to portray this confidence. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. If that's a work presentation, a school presentation, a meeting that you're having with somebody that you care about, it's just like all of that governing our thoughts is not only exhausting, but it prohibits you from really enjoying the moment instead of constantly interrogating it, constantly interrogating the current moment. There was this really great exercise, I think it was by MIT, Harvard, Yale, one of them, that encouraged participants to think of themselves in 10 years. You're thinking of yourself in 10 years. Everything is awful. Maybe you gained 200 pounds. Maybe your bank account is in the negative. Maybe your house is filthy and it stinks. Maybe you can't get up to do anything about that. Your mobility is not there, right? You don't have any friends. You don't have any relationships. Close your eyes and really imagine every crevice of this exercise of you 10 years in the future. Imagine you've been putting up with this for years and years, and everything just keeps getting worse. Like, really feel what that would feel like. And then you pull out your phone, you see this picture of yourself from 10 years ago, the current moment. What would you do differently? What would you appreciate right now? What relationships would you want to start? How would you want to be out in the world, as opposed to having all of our limiting beliefs and our fears and our anxieties govern our daily motion? Give us like heart palpitations and just having this feeling that you're going to faint, or yeah, just all these physiological responses to having a conversation, introducing yourself. you know there are millions of people that have lived, right? Human society has existed for thousands of years. All of them had full lives. They had constraints, social norms that they were contending with, right? They had hopes, they had fears, they had dreams, they had loves, they had losses, all of the things that comprise a life. They had challenges. And now they're gone. Their book is closed, and they're not even a thought. We don't have any idea. The same people, if you live in like a, oh, I'm sorry, my cat, it's like wanting me to give him attention. If you live in an old city, I come from Philly, and I hear about these stories from the Underground Railroad and what it was before then, and centuries and centuries and centuries before then. If I'm walking around Old City, for example, I imagine all of the humans that have walked up and down those streets. Maybe they were 32 years old at the time. What were they thinking about? What were they feeling? And now it's like, it's cool to think about, but they're not here anymore. They're done. I hope that they were able to break out of whatever constraints they were trying to. And this is not to say that we should look at every constraint or fear or anxiety that we have in our lives as though it's nothing and blame ourselves and go through this whole guilt trip in order to get out of it. But at the same time, imagine you, 85 years old, contending with what it means to age mentally, physically. Maybe you have way less inhibitions because you've lived more life. What would you want to have now when you reflect on your life instead of wishing you didn't have it at that age? Does that make sense? What do you have now that you wouldn't want to reflect on, right? Those two women really made an impression on me. I assume that they're both gone now, but wow, what a lesson from just having seen them through my screen. This is an invitation to share yourself, to open yourself, and contribute to the mold of society. Because honestly, if we are but a drop in the ocean, in a vast ocean, why not really participate in all of the waves of that ocean? Ride the waves, hop in. And I'll leave you with this quote that I recently saw. It said, "Say what you feel and do what you want, because the people that mind don't matter, and the people that matter don't mind." All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow in the next video. Bye.